How much blame does Kirk Cousins deserve for the Vikings' 1-4 start? Let's talk about it. I've gone back and forth on this guy, Kirk Cousins, because I tell you what, when we first signed him, I was ecstatic. I said, yes, we need Kirk Cousins. We're just a quarterback away from being a true championship contender. After the game against the Bears, Soldier Field last year, where Stephon Diggs, after that, he skipped practice. The team was pissed off. Adam Thielen called out the coaching staff. You can't just run the ball 1,000 times. I was over it because Kirk Cousins deserved a big chunk of that blame and that loss as well. I was over it. I said, you know what? I'm done with this dude. We were better off with Case Keenum. He then proceeded to go off the rest of the year for the most part. And I tell you what, in that wild card round against the Saints, that clutch pass to Adam Thielen in overtime to get deep into Saints territory, a 43-yard pass, the clutch pass to Kyle Rudolph to end the game in overtime, that was some serious stuff right there. Now, in the 49ers game in the divisional round, the whole team fell apart. And then we get to this year. Week 1 against the Packers, I blame coaching. Week 2 against Indy, everybody deserved blame, including Kirk Cousins. Week 3 against the Titans, you could have possibly came back and won that game if not for the offensive line. Week 4 against the Texans, you won. And then we get to Seattle on Sunday. That interception, yes, Kirk Cousins, he threw an interception to KJ Wright. Great play, by the way, the one-handed pick that he had. I don't know where the hell that Kirk Cousins was throwing to, but we can't dismiss the fact that any time that the Minnesota Vikings offense had any sort of resemblance of success, Drew Samia absolutely negated that. If he wasn't missing his blocks, he was drawing flags. This dude was a disaster. He has been a combination, Drew Samia has, of Willie Beavers, TJ Clemmings, non-rookie year Matt Khalil, and Pat Elflein. He has been a disaster. However, even after the interception to KJ Wright that Kirk Cousins threw, he did put his big boy pants on. Down 21-13, Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings drove 65 yards down the field to score a touchdown. Actually, you know what? No, I take that back. It should have been 65 yards, but Drew Samia, very first play of that possession, drew a 10-yard holding penalty, so they had to go 75 yards plus to get the touchdown. There was the stupid play call of the two-point conversion where I guess Gary Kubiak thought that Kirk Cousins was a combo of Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson to do a quarterback draw. That's not going to be a productive play for a quarterback like Kirk Cousins. And then that very next drive that they had the possession on offense, down 21-19 at their own 3, Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings drove 97 yards down the field to go up 26-21. Then, of course, there was that 4th down attempt, which, again, that was on Alexander Mattison. If he bounces out to his right, he would have got the first down. The game would have been over. You would have won that game 26-21. So, for me, Kirk Cousins minus the Indy game, he's been exactly what I expected him to be, which is not bad. And it's hard for me to throw shade at this guy when game in and game out, the offensive line and the defense has been piss poor. The defense for the first half against Seattle was great, but piss poor. What do you expect Kirk Cousins to just will his way to victory, put the team on his back like he's Russell Wilson? That's not who he is. In fact, before coming to Minnesota, Kirk Cousins spent 6 years in Washington, right? Going into year 7, he is who he is. Every once in a while, you may get a Rich Gannon situation, but it's extremely rare. He is who he is. Well, what is that? He's a pocket quarterback with a strong arm. His pocket awareness level is 0, so he needs a legit offensive line. You can win with a quarterback like Kirk Cousins. It's just the situation has to be right. In fact, replace Jimmy G with Kirk Cousins with the San Francisco 49ers in 2019 last year. Kirk Cousins is a much better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, in which case the 49ers, they had a respectable offensive line, a great defense. They still would have went to the Super Bowl. In fact, down 24-20 with a minute and a half left in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 10. Jimmy G overthrew a wide open Emmanuel Sanders that would have scored a touchdown. Kirk Cousins, there's a chance that he actually hits that target. Now, whether the Niners would have won after that, who knows, because there still would have been too much time left for Patrick Mahomes to march down the field and still win it for Kansas City. But you can win with a Kirk Cousins. It's just the situation has to be right. At the same time, that's extremely hard to do, which is why if the Minnesota Vikings have a shot at a Trevor Lawrence or any other high quarterback prospect in this upcoming 2021 draft, you absolutely take it. But it's hard for me outside of the Indy game. If you are looking at Kirk Cousins for every loss outside of Indy and you're saying, oh my God, Kirk Cousins, he needs to put this team on his back and his pocket awareness sucks and he needs to will this team to victory, knowing based off of who he is after 6 years in Washington, knowing who the fuck he is as a player with this front office continuously shitting the bed at putting together a competent offensive line during this offseason. I said, I don't know what the record's going to be for the Minnesota Vikings. I need to know what the guards are going to be like. Oh, Vikings analytics. Guards ain't shit. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, guess what? Final drive against Tennessee. And for the majority of that game against Seattle last Sunday, the guards were responsible for 2 losses in just 5 games. Knowing all that, if you're sitting here after every game saying, oh, Kirk Cousins, he needs to be better. Why can't he be Patrick Mahomes? And why can't he be Russell Wilson? I think it's short-sighted. I think it's lazy. The Minnesota Vikings have done 0 favors for Kirk Cousins to win games for the Minnesota Vikings. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. We do this 3 times a week, Mediocre at Best Sports Podcast with Realistic Randy. Check me out on Twitter at Realistic_Randy, Facebook at Realistic Randy. Vikings versus Falcons preview will be tomorrow. We'll see you then.